let's go ahead and begin. The first thing that we're going to need to do, well, I'm just going to remind you of how to set virtualization up, but if you want a more detailed explanation in regard to the virtualization on Fedora, the professional grade virtualization, just go back a few tutorials and I have explained this in far greater detail. So you just need to type in dnf install at virtualization. So you're just going to install the virtualization group. There are several packets there. So then you do yum, dnf update, and oh god, there's like a lot of things here. So I'm not gonna do this now because I've done the updates for the KVM virtualization and that works just fine. But later I'll do these updates for sure. So you just do dnf update and then you do a reboot. You reboot the machine and that's it. If you have already configured virtualization, you do not need to do what I just did. Anyway, then you will need to type in virt manager, press enter, and this is going to pop a virtual machine manager. I already have several virtual machines here, but I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox. And you will need a Windows VM. Why will you need to create a Windows VM? Well, obviously because we're making a USB to basically be pluggable into a Windows machine that's going to deploy a keylogger. So we'll need a Windows VM to compile the keylogger and to test everything out there and to demo it as well. So I strongly recommend that you download Windows from the official Windows website. They do offer a free trial download, which is very kind of them. So if you type in Windows 10, I don't know, download, should be the first result. There you go. So it says Windows 10 ISO from Microsoft. And so don't go about downloading it from God knows what sites. Just go to their official website and select Windows 10. Then you click on confirm, and then you select the language pack. English will be mine. Keep in mind that the bad USB chapter, the entire USB is devised and constructed so that it would work on a US based keyboard. If you have any other language, significant modifications will need to be done to the C code in Arduino in order for this to actually function. So this only works on the US keyboard for the time being. But in version 2, I will try to make it work universally across all the keyboards. So just go ahead and click on confirm here. And then you click on 64-bit or 32-bit download. Now, you can just figure out which one you have. So if you type in uname-a, it says here x86 64. So this is a 64-bit system. If it says something like i586 or something like that, then it's a 32-bit system. So if you have a 64-bit system as I, you just go ahead and click on 64-bit download and you click on save file and then you click on OK. And that will download the file. I'm not going to go ahead and download it now because it's rather large and time consuming. I have already pre-downloaded this particular file. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up the virt manager. Keep in mind that virt manager needs to be started as root. So you won't be able to start it as a regular user. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's just open up virt manager. And let's go ahead and click on File and click on New Virtual Machine. And you have architecture options down below, but that should be selected by default. Use ISO image, browse, and I have this folder here. You're not going to have it. I'm going to remove it. Maybe you've set this up before, but I did show it before, but it doesn't matter. Let me just go ahead and go guide you quickly through it. So just click on Add Pool. You give a name to the pool. The name is arbitrary. Downloads. Okay, so then you click on forward and you browse the target path. The target path shall be, let's go home and then chronic, and then let's go into downloads. Open, finish, and this is going to be the path. You can also click on refresh to refresh the index here, but no need. Okay, so I have a Windows ISO here, single language, English. Maybe you have some different language, but as I said, this will work only on US English version of Windows. As I said, later on in version 2 of the updates, I will strive to make this functional on any language pack. So click on choose volume. So once you have selected the ISO image, click on choose volume, click on forward. Minimal requirements would be 2 gigs of RAM. I shall assign 4, and you should also have at least 2 cores. I'm going to assign 4 as well. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and assign 8. It's going to work pretty slow with 2 gigabytes of RAM per Windows 10, even on a real machine and not a virtual machine. The Windows will be rather slow. I don't know, Linux will work just fine on 512 megabytes of RAM. Go ahead. So you don't need to assign as much resources as I did. You can assign maybe 4 and 2, and that should run just fine. If you don't have any spare resources, you can also assign 2 and 1, and it's gonna work, but it's gonna be very slow. So go ahead and click on forward. Bare minimum. I know that it says here 20, and that's probably gonna say on the net 20 is enough, but bare minimum assign 30 gigabytes. Why? Because you're gonna be installing things, and you don't want to be stuck with a lack of space. Okay, so go ahead and click on forward. Give it a name. So I'm gonna name mine Windows. Okay. Windows demo. So that's gonna be the name of my machine, but the names are arbitrary, and name yours whatever you would like. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on customize before install. So click finish then. I'm gonna remove the USB redirectors. No need for those. Not for our setup anyway. And I'm gonna add a piece of hardware. Input, EV Touch USB graphics tablet. I call it Evil Touch for some strange reason. What this will basically allow us is the floating mouse, because the mouse won't get locked into the machine. If by some chance your mouse does get locked into the machine, the release key is Control L Alt. So you press Control, you press the letter L as in London, and then you press Alt, and that's gonna release the mouse. Okay, so let's just go ahead and click on begin installation now. The installation of Windows is fairly slow, even though my VMs are fast. There are some of the other things which I could have done in order to improve the performance of this VM. I could have done some configuration with the disks, etc., but I don't really feel the need for it. I mean, the VM runs just fine. Some of the VMs that I have constructed can actually run 1080p games at 100 FPS, which is amazing. Okay, so go ahead and click on next here. Install now. And wait for it. Okay, so I don't have a product key. I actually do have a product key. I just don't feel like using it for this version because this is just a trial, and it's gonna get deleted in a couple of hours anyway. So accept license terms. Next, custom install. Select this drive. Now this drive here, this has nothing to do with your system partitions or whatever. This is basically a reserved portion of space on your disk, which has nothing on it, which is reserved for the VM. So we can rest assured that you won't damage anything, or at least I don't think that you will. I have never managed to damage anything by installing VMs. Okay, so now we have to wait for this procedure to finish. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video here and I'll come back when it's done. This might take a while. especially to go from 0 to 1%. So don't think it's not working just because that's slow. I do not know what sort of hardware you have, and depending on your hardware, this might run a little bit faster or a little bit slower.